Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good evening, listeners. Welcome back to Great Works of the Muslim World on IKIMfm. I'm your host, Dr. Muhammad Husni Mohd Amin, Fellow at the IKIM Center for Science and Environment Studies. Today, we delve into the brilliance of a monumental figure in the field of astronomy and science, Abū Rayhān Al-Bīrūnī. Now, if you remember, we have had several episodes of this discussing about the metaphysics of Al-Bīrūnī, the physics of Al-Bīrūnī, his exchange with another great figure, Ibn Sina, and we had one of our visiting fellow, Dr. Daud Bachelor, talk about how Al-Biruni was a first Muslim scientist. So known for Al-Biruni's remarkable contributions to various scientific disciplines, the work that we are going to discuss today, Al-Bīrūnī'S Treatise on Eclipses, stands out as a testament to his exceptional intellect and dedication to empirical inquiry. So today we are honored to have a distinguished guest with us today, Dr. Norzakiah binti Saparmin, Assistant Professor at the Kuliah of Science, International Islamic University, Malaysia, IIUM. Dr. Norzakiah will help us uncover the layers of this groundbreaking work and its relevance to contemporary discussions on the relationship between science and religion. Welcome to Great Works of the Muslim World, Dr. Norzakiah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Husni, for inviting me. Alhamdulillah. And also thank you very much, IKIM, for me, inshallah, to share a bit on Al-Biruni, especially a bit on his astronomy. Alhamdulillah, and also to the fellow listeners of IKIM, thank you very much for joining this program, the Great Works Muslim World, inshallah.
Yeah, it's our honor and pleasure to have you on board, Dr. Norzakiah. Right. I understand that this book it's part of your master's thesis. Maybe you should like to share a bit. How did you come across
Yeah.
this book, and how was the experience then?
It's, Alhamdulillah, I think this is one of the best moments, I think, in my life. It's in a way that switching a bit from the, we say, pure science of astronomy or physics into looking at the history and philosophy of these sciences is is a major, we say, shift, major shift of paradigm, actually.
I
If we
see.
can like to say a major shift of worldview, to be able that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave that a great opportunity to join his tag as a master student under our Royal Professor Laureate Syed Muhammad Nakib Al-Attaz. It is something that unfortunately not that many generation later is able to have that same opportunity the way as the current situation now, although he's still very active in scholarly work, his mind is still very sharp, and there's still a lot that he can contribute and share with our Muslim generation today. But is since Wallahu alam if it is going to happen later on.
Yeah. You were
But
talking
this
about
is
paradigm shift. You were talking about
yes,
paradigm shift. So you had a pure science background?
yes, it was my first degree was in astronomy, and so is the exact science, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow there's the sort of feeling that that this is a lot of the philosophical assumption
Yeah.
in those sciences are not actually in align with our Islamic worldview,
Mhm.
and that has been elaborated by Prof. Said Nakil Atas in many of his works uh, of the importance of the have to have the right methodology and philosophy of the Islamization of knowledge, and um, and that is alhamdulillah, just being a Malaysian, and it just everything seems with the qadar and qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Istat has been built. It's just the right time to seek knowledge from
Mhm.
him, trying to understand what is this project of Islamization of knowledge that he is trying to guide the Muslim Ummah, inshallah,
Mhm.
for the
Maybe
betterment.
can you can share with us a little bit of your experience, how you stumble upon this work,
Yeah,
particular work.
with while I was doing my masters at ISTAT, that is where I met Prof. Letting. He was from Netherlands, and so he's the one basically who suggested to me maybe translated a part of this Al-Bīrūnī or Kanu al-Mas'udi.
Mhm.
So the Arabic text has been edited by Prof. Kennedy, one of the leading historian of Islamic sciences. He's from
Mhm.
America.
Yeah.
So he has edited the text, and what we did is translated a part of the text. So this is especially just to highlight the level of achievement of Islamic astronomy at that time. At the time of Al-Biruni, he was also a polymath, and I find it in a way to be one of his significant contribution in astronomy. So because usually they say the 11th century, the period of 11th century,
Mhm.
uh, it was considered the period of the century of Al-Biruni.
I
So
see.
because of his immense contribution towards in various sciences, um,
Mhm.
and that maybe just to see the connection of how do they we say research, how do they perform their experiment, what is their
Mhm.
methodology, what is their approach, their
Mhm.
syllabus towards their sciences, and how that can actually somehow help us to understand the Islamization project of what Prof. Said Nakib Al-Atas would like it to come into being.
No,
So,
very, very interesting.
so
Very interesting because I think
connection.
that's the time when they were actively, I mean, in the 9th century, you have figures like Banu Musa, Thabit ibn Qurrah,
Yeah,
Hilal Himsi. They were bringing in manuscripts from the Greek world, from the
yes.
Persian world, from India, and
To
have them
in
translate.
school,
Yes, they were
they have
translating
they were
in
like
Baitul Hikmah. But talking about their experimentation, talking about their methodology, I want to ask you, what is the significance of this particular work, its treatise on eclipses, within the broader context of astronomical studies and also science, in the period which you say the period of Al-Biruni?
yes, they're very scientific, if you like to say, the way we are doing our sciences today. Very
Mhm,
mathematical, very experimenting. They did a lot of observation, very accurate
mhm,
observation, and we can say the prediction is also of eclipses are almost accurate as what we have today. So it's a very accurate science, we say, astronomy, mathematics during this period, and they, in a way, they are advancing it further than uh, from the sciences that they have acquired from the Greeks, the Hindus, or maybe a bit even from China, because there are also some Chinese astronomers who are working even with our Muslim astronomers. So the and as we can see, the the Muslim astronomers like Al-Bīrūnī and also many of his other colleagues, they are group of uh, science, when we say group of Muslim astronomers, like even Ibn Sina is also have done astronomical works. So this the that that I think this is the time we can say in history where astronomical studies have been pushed furthermore than what the Greeks have done. The translation, the accurate motion of the sun, the moon, and the various instrument that they have invented, right? Make it more to have more accurate observation. The observatory, um, and that because there's some scholars, historians saying that uh, that yes, there are some we say before these Muslim astronomers, we have the Persian Empire, and they are also very intellectual. They also have uh, taken many and kept preserved the Greek sciences, but uh, we can truly say there's not much of advancement being done, and not much of translation work has been done. The way our Muslim astronomers, mathematician, physicists, we can say, these, Muslim scholars have pushed it further. So, as we know, that the first major translation period are being done by the Muslims, right?
Yes.
And that was not happen in any other places of the world, but only after the coming of Islam, after the revelation of Quran, that make the Muslims to be to have a very critical mind, a very scientific mind, with the guidance of the revelation, Quran and Sunnah, and that this is why even Western historians say the 11th century. That means is the period of Al-Biruni, as they say.
In the
So
1200s, right?
yeah, in the 11, he died in 1050,
Yes.
and Ibn Sina died 1037.
Uh-huh.
Ibn
Yeah,
Sina died
they were contemporaries. Yes, I remember because we had an episode
because he
where
was
they exchange. They had an
yeah,
exchange.
exchange, but in terms of the experimenting, observation of astronomy, of course, Al-Biruni has done a lot more work, we can say, than Ibn Sina, but it doesn't. But Ibn Sina has his own contribution, uh, and this, as it has been said, that he has starting doing observing since he was teenagers, as they say. So, like Messina was a physician when he was a teenager, so Al-Biruni has
Yeah.
been observing eclipses and the planets and calculating the Qibla. So that has been done since he was teenagers. Yeah. So in
Oh,
his
very,
teenage.
very interesting. Yeah, very interesting, Dr.
So
Zaka.
yes,
Because
yeah.
I read once the autobiography of Ibn Sina, Danesh Name Alai, and he said that he finished studying medicine when he was still young, and to him it
Yeah.
was very easy, and that is the point where he says now he's moving on to philosophy, which is much harder.
Oh yeah. Yes, it's true. And
All right.
and yeah.
Yeah.
And Abū
So
Rayhān, yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yes. Uh, yeah, and I think Al-Biruni, he went more into the historical, sociological, right?
Mhm.
He traveled to India and
Mhm.
yeah. So uh, this just to show the book. Can I show the book?
Yeah, sure. Sure. We want to see.
Yeah,
We know. Want to
I
show the
can see.
viewers. Uh,
Yes, this is
this
the
is
book.
Dr. Norzakiah's book.
Yeah,
Okay.
Alhamdulillah has been published by Cassis,
Yeah.
UTM, under the effort of Prof. Muhammad Zaini Osman.
Mm-hmm.
So Alhamdulillah, there's a bit of sharing his contribution on eclipses. And as we can see in the book, yes, it is. He gave the detailed description on how to calculate, even though we can say it's a very condensed in a very condensed form,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be elaborated further on what does he mean on how to calculate the motion of the sun, the motion of the moon,
Mm-hmm.
what are the limits of the eclipses, and
Mm-hmm.
it is very quite mathematical in the sense of their contribution.
Yeah, very interesting because so how do you describe? How would you describe in the book how Biruni's structure, his exploration of the solar and lunar eclipses,
Mhm.
and also maybe what are the methodologies that he employ?
That he in a way he also borrow from various sources
Mm-hmm.
other than the Greek. He also got some sources from Babylonian,
Mm-hmm.
from the Hindu scholars while he was in India.
Mm-hmm.
So he and also from his previous predecessors, the astronomers before him, and also uh, from his colleagues at that time, the mathematician, the astronomer, and that usually in where he apply spherical trigonometry. So that was not very much in practice at the time of the Greek, but the Muslims were advancing further the spherical trigonometry in applying this astronomy, and that he has uh, as we can say, this is the kind of the astronomy that usually the Muslim scholars usually call the al-hay'ah, we say.
Mm-hmm.
Al-hay'ah is like uh, configuration, like
Mm-hmm.
how to the give a very detailed mathematical description of the heaven. So this is like a part of their astronomy. So he gave very detail on how to calculate when when eclipse can occur, uh,
Mhm.
the the various phases of the eclipse, the
Mhm.
colors of the eclipse. So from detailed observations of the eclipse, and that the uh, so in a way that this is although what they say as science of astronomy is broader than just this. So that they have the what they call falak, uh, observing the Qibla, the new moon, calculating the Qibla, the new moon, and also the Nujum. So this the knowledge of this star,
Mhm.
and so each of these sciences it has different their own specific methodology. You can say
All right.
even within that science, what they call as astronomy, and
Mhm.
so for in this kind of uh, part on eclipses, it's more very empirical and mathematical. You can see.
Mhm. But does he explain the causes? What causes eclipses?
Um,
And also, yeah, and I think
yeah,
you
he
mentioned just
explained.
now
He
characteristics of
explained
eclipses. Yeah.
the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse,
Mhm.
and when can the possibility when it can happen.
Mhm.
In lunar eclipse, there's also because the moon is very near to the earth, so we have to measure the parallax
Yeah.
uh, for different latitude
Mhm.
uh, of the earth. So that is all being calculated in there,
All right.
and it's just amazing that he can do this, and also while doing the other sciences,
Mhm.
his contribution on India is right. Um, it's why there's a Hindu scholar once called him as the uh, Vidya, what is the word here? Vidya Sagar, ocean of
Mhm.
learning.
I see.
Yeah,
So
so he
they view
knows.
him highly.
Yeah, he's like because he knows Sanskrit, right? He knows Greek, and
Mhm.
he helped to translate this Greek text into Sanskrit.
I see.
So, so they call the Pandits of India call it the Vidya Sagar, the ocean of learning.
Oh, very
So,
very interesting because I was under the impression that this we had an episode where we were with Dr. Ikhwan and Dr. Imran Mustafa. We were talking about Al-Biruni's exchange with Ibn Sina. There's a book published by
yeah.
ISTAC, the Al-As'ilah wal Ajwibah. And
Mm-hmm.
then we thought that we registered some of the disagreements because Ibn Sina is very philosophical and Al-Biruni he disagrees with some of the philosophical methods because he's coming from quite a religious background, and I suppose even on his calculation for eclipses, his observation, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Norzakiah, because they are rooted in religious requirements. I mean, to set the time, to
Yeah.
determine the position where you should be facing the qibla, I suppose. So
Mm-hmm.
when you talked about that, how the Hindus they regarded Al-Biruni so highly, I mean, it's not as easy as saying Ibn Sina is more knowledgeable, therefore more sophisticated than Al-Biruni. No, it's not like that. But it's
Yeah.
more of a really, it's an intellectual disagreement, really. They don't see eye to eye, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not. That doesn't mean that Al-Biruni is below Ibn Sina in terms of knowledge
Mm,
or philosophy.
yeah, but they just have their own specific areas of contribution.
Mm-hmm.
As we can say, Ibn Sina, we say one of the few scholars of the one that gave the contribution in the scientific methodology. So from the philosophical aspect, like Ibn Haytham,
Mm-hmm.
Ibn Sina, Al-Farabi. So that
Yeah.
gave the foundation for, we can say, quote unquote, the scientists, like Al-Biruni,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in doing the observation, the experimentation, the calculation. So, so this is, a huge period for human history, in fact, uh,
Mm-hmm.
where science have solid foundation for on giving the very, we say, comprehensive and very substantive methodology in science.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So in contrast with the West, uh, we Muslims, for Islam, religion does not hinder scientific
yeah.
development. Rather,
Yes.
it is the spur, is the one that sparks scientific inquiry.
Yes, that's true. So, and also, it just that when it moved into the, we can say, towards the Western civilization, where
Mm-hmm.
the knowledge is being translated into Latin, into the
Mm-hmm.
European area, we can say the European um, Western civilization, that uh, the philosophy has, we can say, shift into a different worldview.
Mm-hmm.
To say that it somehow, it in terms of the methodology, in terms of the terminology of the sciences, is also has shaped into its own specific worldview that
Mm-hmm.
is not the way how our Muslim scholars are doing it. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it seems to look the same science. It looks the same science, but it is the philosophy of, or the assumption, that methodology, that background of the sciences, that we have to say, if you use the word Islamization, to Islamize it
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
back into our worldview of Islam, uh, not
Mm-hmm.
under the.
Speaking of methodology, doctor, so what can you say about the role that Al-Biruni assigned to empirical observation and mathematical precision in understanding celestial phenomena, and
Mhm.
how have his methods contributed to the development of scientific methods that we use today?
Uh, uh, yes, the scientific method is very clear. The, as we say, the during the empirical, the mathematical calculation,
Mm-hmm.
but within the framework of the Islamic worldview, uh,
Mm-hmm.
of our Islamic civilization, it is how, the structure, or the syllabus of the sciences, uh, how they divide the syllabus is not the way we are doing it today,
Mm-hmm.
and that the and also the terminology that is being used in understanding the terminology that the sciences, that being used in their sciences. What we mean by the syllabus is that maybe there are some overlap,
Mm-hmm.
but our ulama are very clear that what they mean by defining that science,
Mm-hmm.
on how we want to train our future scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So because usually when we learn astronomy or physics, we are not being taught what does astronomy means, what does physics mean. But it but it's not the same with this our Muslim scholars. They have a very comprehensive training. We can say today maybe it sounds philosophical, or we can say it sounds linguistic, but it does help in understanding even what actually we are doing, what actually we are researching, what actually we are observing. And because we don't separate the knowing the object that we want to know from our own understanding as the person who tried to understand that object. I think that's the only, because this is
Yeah.
what Prof. has always said, that knowledge is something that comes into our heart, our cup, right? And it's, uh, the, it is inside us. It's not just simply what is outside. So this is the importance of having the right definition, because we are the one who define what is that uh, object as based with the right from the right perspective of Islamic worldview,
Yeah,
from
I think
our
because what we
Muslim.
now today, what we call today as science, it used to be part of, a larger philosophy. Well, back then it's called tabi'iyat, the natural
Yeah,
sciences. But
yeah,
today, I like what you say about the knowledge is also to understand. I mean, in the Quran, it says, "Sanurihim ayatina fil afaq wa fi anfusihim." I mean, to understand that it is God who shows us the signs within ourselves and also in the horizons. Yeah, so that goes back to that meaning of tabi'iyat, and it is connected also to the ilahiyat, meaning the knowledge about divine matters. So science is not, it used to be not separated with that. And
yes,
now, yeah, I think you raise a pertinent point there when you say that even today we don't explain what is the meaning of science or astronomy,
yeah,
the
yeah,
sciences. So it becomes something, actually, there are technology studies, but outwardly we put it the name science. But actually they are study about the things that we do. So
yeah.
it's actually a
So
technology
it's
study,
not,
not
yeah,
science.
yeah. It's we just in a way, this is what Al-Biruni is also doing, just
Yeah.
observing, calculating, very predicting when eclipse is, uh, but the way they are doing is they understand it with the right framework on how these sciences are operating, and that is and also many of the terminology that they use, that the scientific terminology, if we say uh, it overlaps also with the other sciences. It's
Mhm.
not also that we have to have, for example, when he talks about epicycle, uh,
Mhm.
he mentioned this as tadwir, and also the word tadwir is also sometimes being used in the science of the Quranic recitation. But and the
Mhm.
word like hassa, this is where he said the um, is it, equation. This the or the anomaly. Sorry,
Mhm.
it's anomaly, the lunar proper anomaly. So there's
Mhm.
the correction of the in terms of the parallax of the proper. So that word is also being used in other sciences, and
Mhm.
like in Akida, I think Tawfiq, something like that. So, but we are not saying that uh, because it's for them it this they that there's the connection. They can see that there's the connection with the other sciences, and either in terms of this terminology and the philosophy and methodology of the sciences. Yes, if we can use the correct, it's not that we want to change every word in our terminology of in modern astronomy, but
Mhm.
it's important to know, at least to have the important words, to have understand where does it come from. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
to have some background study,
Mhm.
at least for in modern astronomy, to where does it even use, where does how it does it relate to the other
Mhm.
sciences. But the way what our Muslim scholars, of course, the best, because they want to make sure this is being written in Arabic, right?
Mhm.
Even though it was Persian, um, everything has been translated into Arabic, and we use the right word of how the Arabic is being used in their sciences, and of course, the same if we can also use our to have our sciences today translate into Bahasa Melayu and also
Mhm.
into Jawi, if we can. Maybe that's still far-fetched to go, but it's not simply a translation also. It's
Mhm.
not, and what Prabhupada says, has always meant, it's not simply the having it in just a translation, but
Mhm.
also the whole uh, worldview, or the scientists who are doing it also has to be, you can say, quote unquote, has to be reformed,
Mhm.
um, to have the correct understanding of what is the philosophy behind
I think
this.
that's another interesting point there because I think I remember when Profalata says in his book the Arabic well when it is in the period of Jahiliyyah they changed the meaning, so with the coming of Islam the words get infused again with the correct meaning that reflects the ontology and how we use the language. It's projecting our worldview and our
Yes.
also our
Mm,
purpose. I think
mm.
that is important because it will set very much the purpose of our science. Would you agree?
Yes, it's true.
Mhm.
Definitely. That that is why this is one see. Even though maybe what Al-Biruni, his astronomy, as we can say, this is today we have AI, we have the
Mhm.
computer. They can do a
Yes.
very more better
Mhm.
accurate calculation of the eclipse. They can just crush the number just in a few seconds. We
Mhm.
can
Mhm.
know
They can predict, right?
very, we can
Mhm.
predict, and
Mhm.
very nice what we say, um, video, and when can we see eclipse on
All right.
our science.
I think
And
we are running
yeah,
out of time. So
yeah,
maybe as a conclusion, how do you think Al-Biruni's work remain relevant to
yeah.
contemporary discussion
It's,
on the relationship between science and
it's
religion?
true.
Yeah.
It this in terms of we can see that their scientific, very scientific and methodology, very accurate. We say effort in the sciences. That
Mm-hmm.
is what our even modern science are also applying it, and
Mm-hmm.
the importance of looking also on this history is looking on how and I will see also in terms of the language that is being used, and how that and how they have been trained to see the philosophy and methodology of their sciences, and that in a way that it can help us to have a broader understanding what our sciences is, a more critical approach, and instead of just having we say hands-on methodology, that what we have learned from our uh, from basically the modern science. It's sort of hands-on because the philosophical background was not being taught to us. So we simply take what has been taught to us in class without much further questioning. Where does it come from actually? What is the philosophy that shaped those sciences and methodology? So, but that is not how our Muslim scholars like this Al-Biruni has been trained.
Yeah.
And also that I think in a way can help us even better in understanding uh, the sciences. Uh,
All right.
yeah, how to inshallah make it we say in a line as much as we can as in our with from our perspective of Islamic worldview. Allahu alam. I mean, this,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nazuka, for the sharing. I hope to bring you again sometime next. We can talk about other things, about other works. Thank you
Um,
again. Okay.
yeah, thank
All right.
you for inviting me, Dr. Husni. So it's been my pleasure just to share a bit.
All
So,
right.
inshallah, maybe we find that these kind of sciences are still relevant. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to look at our like the work that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
these scholars, they're still relevant in understanding on how, inshallah, in overcoming our these secular elements, um,
All right.
uh,
Thank you. Thank you,
sciences.
Dr. Nozakia. To our viewers, that was Dr. Norzakiah binti Saparmin, Assistant Professor at the Kuliah of Science, IIUM, talking about Al-Birūnī'S Treatise on Eclipses, where he meticulously explore the solar and lunar eclipses through empirical observations and mathematical precision. I am Dr. Husni Mohd Amin, Fellow at IKIM Center for Science and Environment Studies. Until next episode on Great Works on the Muslim World of the Muslim World. Until next time, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.